you're making the free stuff at scale to hit a lot of people. And then the people who do have money to take it deeper with you are the ones who are going to pay you to do your thing.
I wanted to be in charge of my life and live life on my own terms.
We need to start a coaching business.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, Evan?
Dude, I love the background.
Yeah, it's a tree in my backyard. I decided to put this one up, so I felt like it would be a nice background for this live.
You know, I just posted on Twitter. Let me read this out. Just 5 minutes outside with some sun on your face might give you the perspective shift you need right now.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I just want to say thank you for everything. I always speak to my wife and a lot of people about you and about what Movement Makers is, and I let them know the reason why I joined the group. I remember I was in doing the Real Success Summit. I think you did a training on YouTube, and I saw your perspective on life and how you said the main thing that got me was to help someone who was feeling what you once felt, the greatest pain, right? And showing them to believe and finding their purpose. And that's what really drew me to Movement Makers. And that's what I've been doing with the Soulful Lifting brand and everything. So I guess today, what I wanted to talk about too is how does someone, because I know Evan Tintzman also had this dilemma of, we do help people. We help people for free. We're not doing it actually for a pay or for compensation. But when you want to make a living of it, how can you do that without kind of guilting yourself?
Well, it's recognizing that some people want more access, and it's okay to charge people for more access. So the beginning, I mean, I do a lot for free.
Yeah.
I do a ton for free. I mean, the videos are all free. The YouTube channel is all free. Every night I'm doing Instagram. Like yesterday was such a long day in writing my new book and like also just crazy busy. And then it's 11 something at night and I'm sitting on my back patio, just dead tired, answering people's questions from Instagram and putting it to my stories. Because, maybe in answering those 10 questions, it might be the perspective shift that somebody needs, right? Like you never know.
Yeah. And an analogy, I thought of that too. I thought of it because I spoke to some people about it privately, and we think about it. It's like when I was in community college, there was a math lab there, right? And there was a math lab, and it was free, of course. It was accessible to all the students, and there'd be about 50 or 60 students at a time in that math lab, maybe about 7, 8 tutors, and they would answer your questions, but it was kind of like a quick. 2-minute answer, like, okay, they would help you with this, but they wouldn't really be able to go over it with you. And then I was in some student club that they had private tutors for us. Now the private tutor, which the student club paid for, was able to give you that one-on-one access, that one-on-one. And because of that private tutor, I was able to pass that statistics class. And I compared it as an analogy, like when you're paying for someone, it's kind of like now they're going to dedicate this time strictly to you and in that time frame that you're paying for, and it's going to be a one-on-one, and also it takes away time from their personal life, right? So that's the way I was seeing it. Similar.
So you have the answer.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So what's the holdup?
Yeah, I think that, and sometimes I get really stuck because there's all these populations I want to help. I battled addiction before. I came from, poverty, foster care system. My grandparents actually adopted my siblings and I. So, and I was working with foster youth. I was working with homeless youth. I've worked with those who are formerly incarcerated, drug addicted. And I was like, I want to help all those. But I know also, like with Dean Graziosi, what they say too is about narrowing down your dot, what you were talking about, your niche. So I'm thinking, do I start with just one and then expand later? Or how would I do it? Or do I try to do something that kind of reaches out to all of them?
Well, inside of, if we're talking about making money from our purpose, all of those people still have money. Like not everybody will have. Most people won't have money, right? Like most people who are addicts won't have money because they spend all their money on their addiction and hopefully trying to get help. But there's still some people who, I know some of them who have a lot of money and are addicts. Like it's when you're an addict and you have money, it's even worse because now there's nothing limiting. You got access, you got money, you can. And Joe Polish, who's a good friend, he used to be an addict and he does a lot of work with addicts, helping them. Because once you have money and you're an addict, that's a very dangerous combination. So a lot of the people you want to help, people go to prison. Like most of them don't have money, but some of them do, and so it's like you're making the free stuff at scale to hit a lot of people. And then the people who do have money to take it deeper with you are the ones who are going to pay you to do your thing. Who do you love working with the most? Like if you're looking at people in prison or people on drugs, or you look at all the people who you like helping, what's the common element between them?
And that's what I was thinking of the other day. I think the common element has to do with like it's kind of what when I saw one of your videos where you're talking about like the greatest pain, like it's like a past pain that people can't get past. Like they can't get past a pain, and they're bringing that into the present, which is then kind of putting a barrier to their future because they don't know how to let go of that. So that's the thing that me and Rosie talk about sometimes too, is about healing and forgiveness and how to let go of that, and how that is strictly for the person who is in pain. It's not so much. A lot of people think forgiveness has to do with, well, we're gonna go now, shake hands, have a beer, and become best friends again. It doesn't really have to do with that. You don't have to hang out with the person again. It's just freeing yourself from that burden. So I think a lot of it has to do with people holding on to something. Because I did a poll once, and a lot of people answered like what was holding them back, and it was about letting go of things. So I think that's one of the common elements for all of them, is that all of them have some type of past that they can't let go of.
So you've been an addict?
Yeah, I used to drink heavily for 10, probably about 10 years, from my teenage years to my mid 20s. After my best friend and my mother passed away. They passed away like in a 2-month span. And then I remember after that, I just started drinking to kind of numb it. And then it became an addiction, and it became pretty strong.
And were you incarcerated?
No, I wasn't incarcerated, but I worked a lot. And the area I grew up with, it was a lot of, gang violence. There was drugs. It was low income. You could call it the hood, the ghetto, whatever. And a lot of those friends I had, a lot of the friends I had, and a lot of people that I associated with, I talked to them, and they were good at heart. They were cool people, but they just caught up with the wrong environment. And actually, one of my friends, who's a Hollywood producer, Scott Budnick, he's very dedicated to that population on helping them get a second chance in life. So that's why I have empathy towards them too. And it's like you said. So for that population, I've always been able to, give resources or help them in some way, because of course they don't have the money. And then the other people that can't let go, or maybe other people that are trying to get trained on how to help those people as well. Because I've had friends and colleagues who started working with the homeless population, ask me questions and stuff. Maybe those are people that I also could reach out to in a different level.
What do you love doing the most? Is it speaking? Is it coaching? Is it talking to people one-on-one? Like, what could you get lost in?
Can I get lost in? Yeah, I think it would be, I could choose between maybe speaking one-on-one or speaking like as an audience. Because I've also done some workshops before. When I was working at a college, I did some workshops with a friend that were like personal development, build healthy relationships, empowerment, and speaking in front of audiences. That's always been something that I love too. I was very frightened at first with public speaking, but I got over it as the more I did it. And speaking one-on-one, I think also helps. So that's why I'm thinking, like, I've actually done like kind of coaching, because I was a mentor advisor to foster youth and college students. But I guess never coaching as a business. I've never approached it that way. So I think this just speaking in general to someone and just helping them and being there with them, being present with them is something that really resonates with me.
How much of your community is part of what you're trying to elevate? So to make that a little more clear, I mean, I love helping entrepreneurs. That's my community, right?
Yeah.
I'm physically in Toronto. I love Toronto. It's my home. It's amazing. I don't have as much like city pride that I need to help Toronto blow up, or I need to help like my neighborhood in Toronto blow up. I'm trying to help the world, right? How much for you? So okay, so it's not as much about like your local community, or
it's everyone. It's just like I know I'm not trying to broaden out where it's like, but like just like you, I think I'm just trying to help as many people going through that problem of because I've seen a lot of people and I know a lot of people that have money. They have money, they have everything a person could want, but they're bitter and they're kind of miserable inside because they can't let go of something. So I think my thing is probably letting go and just and living fully in the present, where it's kind of like healing, healing from whatever it was that could be trauma, whatever is pain you want to call it, that's keeping them back and keeping them from living in the present. Because I feel that's the thing that I see with a lot of people. So that's kind of, and that goes to anyone. It could be someone. I've met people on here that are from that have reached out to me and told me they like my content, and there's people from Australia, England, and other places. So it's open to everyone.
Okay, so the people who who have money, let's stick with these people, like however many that is, 10 people, 5 people, 20 people. What would they pay you to do?
I've spoken to some of them before, and I think a lot of them it'd probably be like one-on-one, kind of one-on-one coaching someone that's there. What you pretty much like what you do for us with movement makers, someone that's there. And I think a lot of times it's like what a lot of people say: when you don't pay attention. And sometimes pain and having someone right there gives you some form of accountability too. So I think that's what they need. They need accountability. They need someone to kind of be there. And sometimes it's kind of like hand holding in the beginning so that they could get to where they want to be.
And how many of these people do you know who you think might be able to afford that?
I would say from the top of my head, maybe a few dozen already. From
so
what
like,
yeah.
Like 30, 20? What's maybe a few dozen?
30.
A dozen is 12. 30,
yeah.
40 people. Okay, so 30, 40 people who have money, maybe not like the rich of the rich, but they've got money and they're struggling and they could afford your help. So what's preventing you from reaching out and saying, hey, I've got a coaching service?
I think because I do have something set up with Dean and Tony's, like mastermind.com. I think it's overthinking of like, I need to structure it like this and I need to do it perfectly. And because I know perfection leads, for me, the way I say it is perfection leads to procrastination. And I think what I just need to do is just get it out there, because a lot of them already have reached out to me and they know what I'm about. And I've been doing it on here for free for 2 hours.
Hold on. They reached out to you for what?
They've reached out to me in ways just saying like to continue doing what I'm doing. What I do really helps them, and it is really, sometimes there's days where they'll watch something that I did, or even if I message and I try to get them through something that makes a difference. That makes them difference from where they were going to have a crappy day, and now they feel like they could tackle the day, and they feel like they could tackle things with a more optimistic mindset. So just simple things like that tells me that it's reaching people.
We need to start a coaching business.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, this is it. This is a start. And it's nice to have, Dean and Tony are awesome. And, the mastermind.com plan is more, it's not about coaching. It's more about creating, the circles and the structure. But honestly, I think the best coaches are fluid, where if you're looking at this, like we're doing this is meta right now, right? We're coming on. Obviously, I know who you are. It's not like we're meeting for the first, I guess like maybe first time kind of doing like one-on-one kind of stuff, but I don't need you to send me a huge agenda of what we're going to talk about today. And I also don't need to have to put you into a certain template, because we're going to bob and weave depending on what you actually need.
Yeah. And that's exactly why I kind of ventured off on my own too, because in the mental health field, I was training in mental health therapy for over like about a year or so, or over a year. And I was doing mental health therapy with children and adolescents. I had some of my clients were as young as like 3. And the reason why I kind of ventured off on my own, the pandemic, even though it was a big impact on me and my family financially, my wife took on a lot of, took on like the finances and everything. She already had her career going. With me, I was barely graduating. It hit me hard. So the job I had lined up, they kind of decided they weren't going to go with extending the offer because of COVID. They closed some of the buildings down. When I was working that, I saw that a lot of it's like, it just, for me, it didn't feel original, because you kind of have to go, like you said, I had to go off a script. You got to do it this way, ask them this way, do this, and you had to use a certain approach that they wanted. Let's say like cognitive behavior therapy, whatever. And my original way of connecting and always building rapport and connections with people and helping them it's like I couldn't apply it. So I was limited. And that's the reason why, too, that I wanted to do my own thing, because I'm not limited to what someone tells me. You can't do this, you could do this, you can't do that. And the main thing, too, is I wanted to be in charge of my life and live life on my own terms, own my own time, where someone doesn't
Yeah.
tell me what I have to do. And I think that's the dream for every entrepreneur, too, is you live life in your own terms.
You have CBT, cool. You've got other tools and technologies, and as you learn from different people too, you can continue to apply those. But what a great coach does is take the best tool at the moment that the client needs right now. So it's not that everybody has to go through this exact same process. That's a course, that's group training, that's not coaching. Like the best coaching is when you can, if you're doing one-on-one coaching, you're listening to see where they're at and what they need, and you're giving them the exact things they need right now.
Yeah.
Right. Like even if you think about movement makers, that's group coaching, and it's still always based off of what you guys want, right? There's always the poll what do you want Evan to talk about? Because I don't need to talk about anything. I want to talk about what you guys want to talk about. What do you need help with the most? You vote, that's what I make content on. But it's still group coaching based off of what you guys are asking. Where when it's one-on-one, the best coaching, you just show up and say, hey, how can I help? And you know enough from different things to be able to actually give them the direct advice and perspective shift that they need.
Yeah.
What's your next like revenue goal? Like, where do you need to be?
I've been writing it down, and I don't know. Like right now, even though I do all this, like no one would ever know. Like even though I do all this, like let's say I'm in a financial struggle, no one ever know, because I'm still extending my help and everything to everyone. Because sometimes I feel like I don't want it to feel like now they're thinking like, okay, now it's about sales, now it's about this, now it's not really about that. The way I see it
I
is,
get it.
the way I see it too is like I've said this to people that I know personally. I told them, well, it's like this. Even though you love the job, let's say a lot of people go to a school for a career that they love, like they specifically pick that career, that curriculum, that discipline. It's like your job saying, we know you love this, we know you do it from your heart, so we decided we're not going to pay you anymore. They're going to be like, what the, so
I get it. But like, what do you need to pay the bills? And you're not off buying Lambos, but you're paying your bills. You're not like barely surviving, but you're actually paying the bills and able to continue doing what you love. Like, what's that first number that you need to hit?
I think just to start off, I wrote a goal down, a number. I kept seeing a number and I wrote it down. So I wrote down the number 7,800, like to start off. Like it could be less than that and it'll be fine. But
What is that? A month or
just
what?
some stuff just to help with my wife, because my wife is a nurse practitioner. Actually, she just got her doctorate, so she had her career going, and she works very hard, and she's very hard work ethic. So it's but a lot of it comes tumbling down on her sometimes, and I'm trying my best. I do little side things to try to help her out, to where we both can be comfortable with the income, where it's not like, all right, this time the mortgage is going to be it's going to be tough, or this time the car payment or whatever it is.
Yeah, it says you're unable to join. Wow. Okay. Answer this question then. The 7,800 that you need, what is that? Is that a total number? Is that a monthly number? Like, where do we need to be at per month? That it starts to ease things for you. That again, you're not off buying Lambos, but it makes it like, hey, this is happening. The iPhone shut down because of the sun. I hear you. I'll break down your model. Just give me the number. What do you need to be at a month? So we said 7,800. I wasn't clear on what is that your monthly number, or is that a total number? Or is that a yearly number? What is that, every 2 months, 6 months? What is that 7,800? Or just tell me where you need to be monthly, and then we'll run some numbers and we'll get you going. To be completely comfortable would be 7,800 to 10,000. Since my wife's income combined would make us stress free monthly. Okay, 7,800 a month. So here's what we do. So he has 30 or 40 people who he knows who have reached out to him, who have money, who could potentially afford his services. We need to start a coaching business. This is the starting point to figure out what is actually working when you're talking to people, as well as making some money. And whether that means your wife quits your job, or she's doing it because she still loves it, or she scales back hours, whatever. Let's start at $100 an hour. Okay, let's say you're charging $100 an hour. That's not a crazy number, right? When I'm looking at Drew or like people that I'm investing in, internally, we want to be at $500 an hour, right? So like, how do we start making $500 plus an hour on the time that you're investing into things? But let's start at $100. $100 an hour is achievable, right? You sell a weekly coaching program. So you're going to start with the 40 people that you know, and you're going to say, I'm starting a new service. It's a weekly coaching program with me for 1 hour every week to help you let go of the past, to help you with accountability, to help you with all the things that you're saying that they need help with, right? $100 an hour, 52 weeks, right? An hour a week, every week, and you can batch them. You can put them all on, maybe not all in one day, but you can have like 2 days of coaching, 3 days off, or whatever makes sense. But you're going to start to outreach to those people. Okay, $100 an hour for a weekly coaching call, 1 hour with you. Okay, so let's run some math. So you got $100 an hour, 52 weeks. That's $5,200 per person per year, right? This is awesome. I appreciate it. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. So it's $5,200 a year. Even if you want to sell it at $5,000 a year for an hour with you every week. Plus, you can have access on email and whatever afterwards, right? So $5,200 a year. That means if we want to be making, let's see. So if we want to be at $7,800 a month. Let's do this. Let's do some math here. You need 18 people. 18 people signing up for $100 an hour for a yearly. Don't sell it as like an hour whenever you need me. No. We're booking this in. It's like you're hiring a trainer. Your trainer comes and trains you. You're their accountability. You're their trainer, but for mindset, to help them get past the thing that they were struggling with. $100 an hour, once a week for an hour, 18 people. You get 18 people. That's giving you $93,600 a year. You're almost at $100K. That's $7,800 a month. That's your game plan. So if you know 40 people, your goal is now to reach out to them, message them, let them know what you're doing. Customize, not like some mass email to everybody, and say, I'm starting a new coaching business to help you, all the things you said, break free from the past, have accountability, live a happy life, like whatever the big things are that you want to help them with. Wow, that's great. It's a self-lifting. But this is now the work. Like you have to reach out to them. You know it's valuable. You know it's going to have an impact. It's $5,000 a year. And that's still a deal, right? Like the whole point of this is we're trying to get you to the point where we're taking the stress and burden away from you financially so that you can live your life and your wife is not stressed out as well, right? This is not, hey, how are we building a $10 million company yet? We'll get there. Like step one is getting past survival and living stress-free, right? So 18 people at $100 an hour, we're going to reach out to the 40 people that we know and tell them you're launching this program. He says, I'm going to make the list of the people to reach out and start putting the numbers together. Hop on a call with them. So make your list of your 40 people. Look at everybody who's messaged you, who's reached out to you. Say, I'm starting a new coaching program. I'd love to talk to you about it. Get on a call with them. Talk them through what you're thinking. You get me every week at the same time for an hour to hold you accountable, to help you break free from all your past trauma, to help you stay consistent on the goals that you set for yourself. Just like you might hire a personal trainer, this is a personal trainer for your mindset. $5,000 a year, me every week for an hour, 18 people. That's you working, that's 18 hours a week. 18 hours a week, you have almost a six-figure income. And you still have time to do your videos and outreach and everything else. And once we hit that number, now we start increasing our prices, right? So you hit your number, you hit your 7,800, cool. Now we're doing work that we love, like coaching people for 18 hours a week is stuff that we love, right? Hopefully, otherwise we're not doing it. You're doing work that you love. We're hitting our baseline so that we're not stressed out about, paying bills and where the next meal is coming from. And now we start increasing our prices. So for the next people, what's he saying? That was perfectly put together. This definitely broke a barrier. Cool, man. Then after that, after 18, like 18 gets us to our $7,800 a month. Cool. After 18, so 19, 20, 21, right? Now we're charging $150 a month. Now we're charging $200 like an hour. Sorry, not a month, an hour. You go from 100 to 150 to 200 to 250, right? Like you just keep increasing the prices. And then it becomes how much time do you want to spend like trading? You're trading your time for money, which is cool. And it's fun. I mean, you're trading your time for money, doing something you love as opposed to something you hate, working a job for somebody else, right? Cool. Now we start to scale up the level of people that we're talking to. So now, as you move to the $200 an hour, maybe we're dropping some of the $100 an hour people. Like maybe they don't continue, maybe they maybe pass it on to somebody else. But we're starting to work with more ideal clients who can pay us more. Because if you're at $200 an hour, then you only need 9 people, right? Like $200 an hour, once a week coaching for 9 people gets you your $94,000 business, which is $7,800 a month. $200 an hour times 9 people. I mean, if you feel comfortable, you can even just start there. It's just a matter of you already have, this is not everybody, right? Like most of your audience won't be able to do this. And $200 an hour for people who have money it's not a ton of money. If you think about even in your own business, when you hire a lawyer, when you hire an accountant, when you're hiring professionals, it's costing you more than $100 an hour to hire a lawyer. And you're going to do, probably a lot more good, a lot more help than somebody's lawyer. No disrespect to lawyers out there. So yeah, it's like $100 an hour is 18 people, $200 an hour is 9 people, and you've hit your financial goal. Then we start charging more. Then we can launch books. Then we can launch paid speaking. Then we can launch courses. Then we can launch everything else. But it's like, you already have access to some of these people, right? It's not like you've got a list of 1 million people who can afford you, but you've got 40. And now it's you getting over the discomfort of doing the outreach and letting people know that you have this program. Soulful Lifting says, I was making the math harder than I thought. I can continue to help those with no money for free on my page and charge others for one-on-one. I was overthinking it. Awesome. I mean, I hope this is the perspective shift that you needed. We tend to overthink things, but it's like behind it is the fear to do the outreach. So what's the fear to reach out to the 40 people to say, I want to coach you for 1 hour per week for the next year. And it's going to cost either $100 an hour or $200 an hour. And not just like, let's do this week and see. You sell the whole year in advance, right? Like you can pay you in advance, like sell the whole year in advance. Now you have $94,000 in your pocket right now, right? As opposed to like waiting for it to come out. What's he saying? This helped me a lot. Evan, thanks, my friend. We need to chat again soon. Yeah, and I mean, we got just enough out of you before the phone died, so that's great. It's like, what's that number? Just enough. We got just enough to make it happen. So that's great. I'm glad that we could do this. Everything you're doing to help the people who are paying you $100 or $200 an hour, and then $300 and $400 and $500, whatever, right? Like we're not limiting how high you can go. It's just let's get to baseline. But everything you're doing to help them is also the content that you can make and you can do for free, right? Like this is something that I would get paid to talk to people to do, and we're doing it for free over Instagram Live, and hopefully everybody watching can learn from it as well. So you can still share the information and still do more coaching. I'm asking for 9 to 18 hours a week of coaching to help you get to your financial goal. You've got more than 9 to 18 hours a week to live your life and run your dream business. So what are you doing in the other time? It could be doing Instagram Lives. It could be coaching. It could be working on content. It could be making your videos. It could be posting content to Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, etc. Like you still have time during the week to do other stuff. But it's just getting over that hurdle of I'm going to launch a coaching program. You already have enough value to help these people. You do, and it's worth easily $100 an hour. And just feeling that more swagger. And not like egotistical swagger. It's like the value ladder, correct? You still give value for free, but charge as the ladder goes higher. Yeah, you can think of it like that. Like your free offering is the content, and then people pay for access to you. And this is where people overcomplicate things too. It's like all you need is to get that done. Because it's why I asked you what is your number? If it's $700-800 a month, Cool, let's get you to that number before you're worried about. People then think, oh, well, I'm going to make $1,000 a month from my book and $2,000 a month from my course. And you're trying to do, not that you're doing it because we didn't dive that deep, but people often overthink it and try to launch a million things to get to that number. And they're thinking beyond, like, how do I build my $1 million business? Like, let's get you making money first. If that number reduces a lot of stress for you and your wife and gives you the momentum to keep going, cool, let's get to that number first. And it still gives you the time to work on the other stuff that you want to work on to build your business. And if you love coaching, it's the easiest place to start as opposed to writing the book or making courses and all the other stuff that gives you more scale and leverage, but takes a lot longer to create. And by the way, your courses and books, everything else, your speeches will all be better the more coaching you do because you actually interact with people who are paying you, right? I actually did that last night. He says, I was writing all the numbers for different outlets where I should when I should focus on this. Yeah, like just use it. And it's just a matter of, we're not saying no to all those other things. It's just, there's a sequence. Let's stick to the sequence. Let's get you your number, 7,800 or 10,000, whatever a month. Let's get there. And then we can worry about adding everything else out because you'll be in a much better spot to create if you've gotten some of those financial issues taken care of for you. Does that make sense? We're often so focused on scale and we're thinking about 1,000 different passive income streams. Like, get to the number that you need first through something active that you actually like doing, right? Like, if you didn't like coaching, then this is not a good model, right? Let's find something else. But if he actually likes talking to people and coaching, then this is the path. So it's clarity. Now we've got clarity. It says, I see this live with something many people were struggling with. I'm glad this topic helped everyone. Yeah. And this is what you can do too, right? I mean, it doesn't mean you stop helping for free, but it's clarity on direction. All you need to focus on is getting your $7,800 a month coaching business set up. That's the number one priority of things that you're going to sell. And then two, the mental unwinding of, I'm going to reach out to people and let them know that this exists, that I can bring value, that my time is worth $100, $200 an hour to these people. And I'm going to charge that because I want, and if you're not even doing it for you, think of it for them, think of it for your wife, think of the life that you're trying to build. Like, whenever you're stuck in limited thinking and you need more courage, think about who you're doing it for. So it's not just you. Because when it's just you, we tend to play small. But if it's like, I'm doing this for my wife because she's going to work every day and she's stressing out and I want her not to stress out as much. I'm saying that and I want to do more for my, like, Nina works in the company. But if that was me, like, it just brings an extra gear that I have to go do it now, right? Or if, like, you think about the people like that you're helping and they're struggling and they need guidance and there's nobody there helping, like, you're doing it for them. When you can flip it to service, it gives you a lot more strength and a lot more courage to show up than you would do otherwise for yourself. For my family, my wife and 2 toddlers, yeah. So, like, keep them in mind. Have a picture, in front of you, or just visualize them as you're making your list. Like, that's your homework for today, is make that list of people that you're going to reach out to. And maybe it's not 40, maybe it's 100. And the worst is somebody says, hey, I can't do that right now. Or if somebody says, hey, I can't afford that. Or, hey, I'm not interested. Like, that's the worst that happens. But if you reach out, if you take your 40 list and you turn it to 100, can we get 18 people who will pay you $100 a month, or 9 people who will pay you a week, an hour, right? 18 people at $100 an hour, or 9 people at $200 an hour. If you made a list of 100 people, you could do that. Now it becomes like, that's almost easy now. If you're operating from that zone of, I'm here for my wife, for my toddlers, I'm building this life up myself, right? Like, this is important to me. If you're operating from that framework, that's where we need to be mindset wise. Because if you're thinking, will they hire me? I don't know if I'm bringing enough value to them. Do I use a website or personal payment option? Just do PayPal. Easy. Jeremy and Drew and Bo, we've all built mid 6-figure businesses together. They have no website. They have an email. They have an email and it's a PayPal link that we send them. There's no website. Go look up Jeremy, go look up Drew, go look up Bo. There's no website. You don't need to get fancy with it. These are people who already know you. PayPal, got it. Send them a link. $5,000 a year for coaching. 1 hour a week with me. And if you're feeling extra bold, $10,000 a year, 1 hour a week with me. and I'll help you achieve your goals, and I'll help you unlock the past, because that's worth it to them. And now you've got that 93,600 sitting in your bank account up front. Makes a huge difference. Now you got to do the work, man. Do the work. Hold your wife in your head. Go give her a hug. Go give your kids, a kiss on the forehead, and go build that list and go do the outreach. Like, you got tons of time left today to build that list and start doing the outreach.
Hey.
And there she is.
It's so nice to see your face.
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. I've met Renee. This is the first time we're actually connecting, kind of. I guess we're not in person, but close enough. We have the same publisher that we share, Kara Polson. And I saw you on her stories, and I just love the energy and the vibe. And there's just a little voice that said, you know what? You should reach out and do an IG Live together. I'm going to ask her. And you said yes. And so here we are. We're making it happen.
Well, the answer to how is yes. So I just said yes, and I didn't even know really what I was saying yes to, but it's just so great to talk to you in person, as I've listened to your books on Audible and watched you with Kira, and you wrote a book in less than a week. Just huge props to you and all that you're doing and the difference that you make for so many people.
I love it. So I was watching your stories just before we went live, and you said you did something difficult this morning that prepped you for this. What was that difficult thing?
A cold plunge.
Ooh, okay.
Have you ever done a cold plunge before?
I've done a cold plunge, yeah.
So my husband loves the cold plunge, and he's created a sanctuary on the side of our house that has an outdoor shower and a sauna and a cold plunge. And every morning I go out there and I say the hard things that I'm about to do in my life, in my projects, my books, coaching, all of those things. And then I'm like, okay, if I can get in this, then I can do all of those hard things, because it is really hard to take the step into the freezer.
Is that a daily thing that you do?
I'm trying to make it a daily thing as often as possible. Yeah.
I love that was a setup for this, and teaching yourself that you do hard things, first thing in the morning. We didn't really have an agenda for this. It was just more like I reach out, and I thought we could do an IG Live together. Where does your heart take you? Would you rather talk about your book and what you're doing in healing through relationships, or is there something that I can help you with where you are in your journey that would be of value for you? Either way, where's your heart taking you?
Oh, wow. That is like a hard split decision. Can we do a little of both?
Okay, cool. Okay, well, let's start with how I can help. Where are you at? If you had to ask a question or two, what feedback could I give?
I feel like I'm at this tipping point where, like, I have a few coaching clients. I'm in the middle of publishing these 3 books. One with my husband that I have been writing for like 8 years about our marriage, divorce, and remarriage to each other. And then as I was writing that book, this collaboration book with Kira came up, where that's like creating some momentum. And then I have a children's book that's kind of about my inner child and my upbringing. So I feel like I'm at this tipping point where I'm gaining momentum on Instagram. I'm sharing my stories, but I also feel a little bit like I don't know what else to do. I don't know where else to go.
In order to do what? What's the goal?
To help as many people as I can. Like, my message is forgiveness, it's hope through relationships, and it's building resiliency, even though you've had really hard things. And
ultimately, is it your business model is going to be the book or programs or coaches or consulting, or what's the business ultimately going to be?
Good question. It's going to be coaching, and I have a couple of digital courses already, and then these books. And ultimately, I really love, I'm a born performer. I've been singing my entire life. I love being on a stage. I would love to speak. So that is my personal goal. I just want to be out there and be with people and be on a stage. Maybe speak and sing. That would be really great.
Speak and sing. Okay, cool. So listen, whatever you want to make money doing, the best content to make is show me the process of you doing it. So take all of those things that you love and now think, how can I show people how I do this? So if singing is going to be a big part of what you want to do, then having regular singing content, like Randa singing content. if coaching's what you want to do and sell, then show me you coaching.
Okay, like live sessions with people like this.
Yeah, this is like this. If I wanted to sell coaching, this would be a great example. It's like this is it. I mean, I didn't know what we were going to do when we went live. Just like, hey, just show up and we'll see what happens. But this is a great example of coaching. And so if it's about, your book is about relationships, right? Healing through a broken relationship.
Yeah.
So you have people come on who are dealing with their relationship that they feel is broken, and they need some feedback and guidance and help and care and love. And why I fell in love with your vibe, and I mean, like, again, I didn't know you. We've never met you before this, but your just the way you sink into your heart and the care and the energy is just really calming and peaceful and loving. And I could see you if you're doing coaching sessions where people would open themselves up to you, where they haven't told anybody else the things that they might tell you.
Okay.
I don't know if you've already experienced that with friends or family or other people, in your life, but where you just create a safe space for people to share things that they are afraid to admit to anybody else.
Yeah.
Which makes you a great coach, because it's like great listening, but then also being able to give great advice. And so some people will not want it to be public. Some people may not want to be coached on an Instagram video or like a YouTube video. And that's cool. You don't need everybody to say yes. But the fact that you're an author doesn't mean you're going to be a great coach.
True.
But you are. But like, people don't know that, right? Like, the fact that you wrote a book doesn't mean that people will think, I want to hire her as my coach. So the best way to get coaching clients is to show me you coaching. The best way to get book sales is to show me you with the book and teaching lessons from the book. The best way to get more speaking gigs is to show me you speaking. So you start booking speaking gigs, even for free. Like, go speak at your local YMCA or library or high school or TEDx talk. Like, it doesn't have to be some giant, Mel Robbins on stage in front of an arena full of people. Just the fact that you are speaking makes me think, oh, she's a speaker. I might hire her to come and speak at my next event. And so it's like, the more you can have fun in doing the content, and the more that it actually, in showing the process, leads to a business result, that then, like, the ultimate goal is impact, right? It's like, how do I reach more people? And if you can turn it into a business, and you can reach more people, right? If it's like you part-time on the side doing it, then we don't want it to take another 8 years to like get the next thing out, right?
Right.
But if you're making money doing it, then you can have a team, then you can invest more in people, then you can reach a lot more people with your message and your content.
Yeah. And that makes so much sense. It seems like, as you say it, it's so logical.
Okay.
Like that just, yes, duh. Why does that not make sense? And why does that not come into my mind? And can I just say, the reason it doesn't come into my mind to begin with is because I get stuck on the trajectory of where I'm going, and it feels so far away. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get there. And then I get stopped. So the little steps, like you're talking about.
Yeah. So like, how many people follow you on Instagram right now?
I think I'm at 1,400.
Perfect. The first 1,400 is the hardest 1,400. So you're already on your way. You got the momentum to my new book coming out. The way to do it is to message the people who are following you and say you're going to start a new show once a day or once a week or whatever, feels right for you, of coaching. And do they want to be your guest, where you're going to coach them for free? Where normally they would have to hire you to do coaching, but here it's free coaching, but it's going to be public. And hopefully in that person's story, other people can learn from them as well. And some people will say, no, I don't want it to be public. They might ask you, can I hire you though to be my coach? Now all of a sudden, now we have a coaching. Like, are you actually coaching people now and getting paid to do it?
Yeah.
Perfect. So it's a good lead in, right? That you can offer them the free one on your Instagram, but if they say no, they might want to just hire you to be their coach anyway.
Yeah.
And then you'll get some people who say yes. And then that's how you start your show. And the beautiful thing with that is you just have to show up. You don't need to prepare. Like, if you're thinking about making an Instagram video or a YouTube video, there's a lot of work to prepare and script and like, what am I going to, where coaching, you just show up. You say, hey, Susan, welcome. How can I help? What's on your mind? What's in your heart? And Susan shares, and then you go help her. And it's actually fun because you feel like what you're doing matters and helps and is having an impact. And maybe Susan ends up, wanting to work with you and hire you to be her coach. Cool. But if not, then all the people watching, as you continue to build up the momentum behind it, some of them will say, hey, that's really cool. I love what she did. I love this random person. Never heard of her before, but maybe she's the coach for me.
I love that. Thank you.
And it's just the most fun. It's like you feel like it matters, because 1,400 people is a lot of people, but it's hard to, it doesn't feel tangible.
Right.
Like that's a small town. You got an entire town of people who are following you, but it's hard to feel tangible. But when you see one person and you see her eyes like, oh my gosh, that you're so right, Randa, and your little tweak then sets them on a different path because you gave her the answer. It makes you feel like what you're doing really matters.
Right. Well, and that's the point, is to be able to witness and listen to someone and acknowledge where they're at and validate where they're at, and then be able to assist them in tools that I've learned and tools that I'm certified in. Like that's the whole point.
Yeah. So you already have enough people who are following you. You just video message them one by one and say, hey, I'm starting a new show. This is what I did at the beginning when I started my show. I was on an airplane from LA to Toronto, and I messaged people one by one to say, do you want to be my guest? I'm going to start a new show. I went live every day. I did it in Toronto, so they had to be we did it in Instagram Live, but they were sitting next to me.
Oh, cool.
I had a smaller pool of people to pull from because it had to be local, where doing this could be anywhere in the world. And I booked the first 5 people to do my show for the first week and built momentum. It's scary, but worth it. And if it feels right, then the best thing you can do is go for momentum, immediate action. Like right after this, go book your first person for tomorrow and launch a show. I'll tell you, because when I had the idea on the airplane from LA to Toronto, and I was 100% like, this is going to be so much fun. I can't wait to do this. And then come the day, that was a Friday night, I was flying back to Toronto, and I was going to start my show on Monday. On Monday morning, I show up and I don't want to do the show. 0%.
Yeah.
I'm too busy. I don't have time for this. What if I don't know how to answer their question? What if I can't help? All of the insecurities and doubts.
Right.
100% on Friday night, it turned to 0% on Monday morning. Mm-hmm. And it was only because I had booked the first people that I had to, I'm not going to not show up. Like somebody who's in my studio, right. I had to go there and meet them, right? So I'm more likely to actually follow through.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it feels right, then it's booking your first people and asking if they want to do the show.
I feel like you're reading my mind, because I'm asking questions in my mind and then you're automatically answering them.
Well, then it's the right path.
Yeah.
And so it's really as easy as right after this, you spend an hour sending messages to people on Instagram. And I like a quick video message and just 10 seconds. Hey, Susan, thanks for following me. I'm starting a new show coaching women through their relationships. Or is it just women, or you coach guys too?
No, men too.
Cool. But obviously if it's Susan, you're saying women. If it's Bill, you're saying guys. But, hey, Bill, I'm starting a new thank you so much for following me. I'm starting a new show, helping people through their relationships. If you have any issues and you'd like me to coach you one-on-one, I'm starting a new show next week. If you want to be my first guest, let me know. And then again, hey, Susan, I even do it walking. I like getting fresh air and walking and get a vibe. So I'm walking on the street while I'm doing it. But just 10-second videos at a time to the people who follow you. And at worst, it's a touch point to thank them for following you.
Right.
And nobody sends personal messages like that.
Yeah. I love that. And I like being in people's space like that with a video. It's so much more personable than a text.
Yeah. And fun. And they'll see it. And even if some people will say yes, if you send 5 messages, you may not get somebody to say yes, right? So we gotta send more, let's put 50 on our list of 1,400. Let's send 50 messages. You'll get some people. But even for the ones who don't say yes, you're building a relationship. Somebody might write back and say how much they love your content or looking forward to your book or all of these things that are built. It's crazy how much a 10-second video message impacts somebody, because nobody's reaching out to their followers and just thanking them.
Yeah.
So it's something I do every morning. I call it a believe walk. I go through my believe walk and I'll just randomly pick people who follow me and send personal messages.
And just,
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And it feels good. It's like, it's not just a good strategy. It's a good strategy, but it also feels good that it's like, these are 1,400 real people, you know, maybe some of them are bots, you know, maybe there's 100 bots. So it's like 1,300, like, but they're real people. Those are real people who've got goals and dreams and aspirations and relationship problems and all of these things. And they're following you because you posted something that touched their heart in some way. And so just being able to say thank you and reach out will lead to all sorts of crazy good things, but especially booking, you know, people for your show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Like that's an easy one. That's a no-brainer. And then you can clip the content and do like, you know, take highlight moments and reuse them, or take one-liners and put them up on your channel. Speaking should be you speaking.
Yeah.
So like you're ideally it's with some, at least it looks like in front of some kind of crowd. So if you're booking high schools or universities or again, YMCAs, like I got started at the YMCA and 3 people came to my first event. But it doesn't matter. Like you go and you serve, you help those 3 people, you know.
Action is action.
Yeah. And then the other one's what, the book or the courses?
Yeah, digital courses.
So another great thing to do is you have somebody, like is the course already ready to sell or you're working on it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And are like, you already made some sales on it or you're working on it?
I have made 1 sale. Perfect.
This is great. Hey, the first sale is the hardest sale, you know, as long as it's not to your husband or your mom or something. But no, that's the great start. And what you can do is, for the early people who buy the course, offer to do an Instagram live with them too.
Okay.
Do you know, well, actually, let's not say her name, but like, you know, let's say her name was Jill, right? Who bought your first course. Cool. You reach out to Jill and say, hey, Jill, thank you so much for buying my course. I hope it's being valuable for you. Do you want to do a bonus Instagram live with me where whatever questions you've got, whatever you want to talk about, I'm here to serve. And hopefully your questions can also serve the audience watching too. Again, maybe Jill is super introverted or shy and doesn't want to come on camera, but like at the very worst case, you're saying thank you and she's going to feel recognized, which is always great. But if she says yes, then she's going to come on your Instagram live. You're going to go and create content together. And then what's she going to say? She's going to say, oh, I just bought your course. It's amazing. Thank you so much. Now you're talking about the course without talking about the course.
Yeah.
So now anybody watching can learn about, oh, she's got a course. What's the course all about? Right? So anybody new who's getting into the course, you can offer, it doesn't scale incredibly well, right? Like you can't do it for everybody. If you're going to sell, we're going to sell 1 million of these courses, right? So Raina's not going to do 1 million IG lives, but for the first people who come in, and it could still be part of, you know, if you had like once a week coaching from your followers and then once a week coaching from people who bought the course, as you start to make more sales, even once a week coaching people who bought the book. Do you have any books for sale yet or not yet? They're all in development.
Not yet. Cool. Yeah, they're all slated for September.
Okay, well, we're not that far away. Like you can even do pre-orders, right? You already have the book title. Do you have a cover or you're working on the cover?
I have a cover, yeah.
Cool. So you have a title, you have a cover. You could do pre-orders that if somebody buys 10 copies of the book, they also get an Instagram live with you. Or 100 copies or 1,000 copies or whatever. And then we start talking about the book, right? Even though the book's not ready yet until September, she bought 10 copies and so she gets the IG live with you. And then she's going to come on and say, I'm so excited for your book. It comes out in September, right? I can't wait to get a copy. So now we're talking about the book without talking about the book and still serving her to help her or him with, you know, whatever issues they've got going on. So it's just fun. Like it helps promote the thing that you're trying to promote. And it doesn't mean stop doing, I'm not super deep on your content and like what you've been posting and frequency, but what's your cadence? How often are you actually posting content right now?
I'm probably 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay. And does that feel good? Does that feel a lot? Does that feel...
It feels like not enough. One of those, I have a podcast. So one is a podcast every week. I'm trying to ramp that up and do reels and add more content that way. So I feel like 3 to 4 would be a manageable number for me, a good number.
And what do you talk about on the podcast, or what's the format?
Gosh, I have my husband on there. it's like whatever spiritual message downloads to my brain. It's not pigeonholed to one thing.
I love it. That's great. So you have the podcast, and then it really just depends on the cadence and how much you want to put in and how much it builds you versus drains you. This as an example, this builds me. Like today's my mentoring day. All I'm doing is mentoring the people on my team. We've got 40 people on the team, and it's just all day, like 25 minutes on, 5-minute break, 25 minutes on, 5-minute break, like into the next person next.
Yeah.
But then like 2:00 Eastern, I break to do this because it doesn't drain. I'm going to leave this with more energy than I came in.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving me energy. You're not taking energy.
Yeah.
And that's most of the time. Like this, I guess there's sometimes you have somebody it's not as great, but for the most part, like I leave more connected to the mission and why I do what I do than less. And it's because of having somebody on with you who you feel like you helped. Like if you feel like you served today and not just at home with the computer, it makes a big difference. So the cadence is up to you, obviously. But if you had a regular series around coaching people who are following you, a regular series around people who bought the book or pre-ordered the book, a regular series around people who bought the course, that could be, 3, 4, 5 Instagram lives a week. It could even just be a regular show that you go live with and start taking questions from people. That's what I do. Like it's just 2:00 Eastern, we're going live, either Instagram or in one of my other communities. 2:00 Eastern, we go live. And I just set that in my schedule for half an hour, and it's like right in the middle of the day. And it really works for me, for my flow. And then it doesn't feel like work or I have to make content or I'm struggling with like, what do I come up with next?
Right.
As you're helping somebody, you're going to say something genius. Hopefully in this, I said something genius that then we can cut and turn into a reel or turn into something else, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully when you're helping somebody, you're going to say a lot more genius things that then turns into maybe 10 reels that you can use for your content. And most importantly, it doesn't feel like work and it doesn't feel like you're not doing enough because you have your regular show coming out that's actually helping people.
I love that. Okay, I'm gonna do 50 reach outs today, and I'm gonna call the YMCA.
I love it. There you go. Yeah, like the speaking is harder because you have to do more outreach, and not everybody's gonna say yes. And just make sure you're filming it. That we see you on stage. But YMCAs are great. School assemblies are great. School, now school might be hard, but I don't know if summer school is still doing like assemblies and stuff, but libraries, awesome. Yeah. Any community groups, clubs, meetups, like anything where you can basically be on any kind of stage and then film it. Like, oh, she's a speaker, so even if you had just one a month of those, at the very early stage of my career, I did it. There was a group called Enterprise Toronto that's in my city that supports entrepreneurs. And I would speak there for like $50 for an hour and a half. And there'd be 12 people in there or something, Yeah. I did it more just to serve and to help the community. I wish I had content. Like now I would do it for free just to get content so that I have something for my Instagram and YouTube channels. But there's a lot of different community. Like, are you in a decent sized city?
Yeah, I'm in the Phoenix metropolitan area.
Phoenix is huge. So many different groups, so many different clubs, so many different organizations that they would love to have a speaker. And you just don't be attached to, I need to have 1,000 people in the room.
Right.
If 10 people show up, you're there to serve and film the content so that you have something that you could put up on your channels. And I think it's also great just to show the journey, here's where I started, everybody. I didn't start. Once you're on stage and, Oprah's introducing you and, you're doing your duet with Garth Brooks or, whatever it is that's happening, you get to show like the early starts and the humble beginnings and the early stage work that you did. And it was still just about helping people more than about, I need to have, 1,000 people or 10,000 people in the room.
Yeah. You and Kara in the front row.
Of course. We'll be singing along. Cool. Well, I know we don't have, we're actually a little bit over, but let's talk quickly about your book, what you've got coming up, healing through broken relationships, like maybe just a quick overview or some advice you've got so we can let my audience know about it.
Okay. If I could tell everybody one thing about these books, and I'm actually just gonna put them all together. It's that wherever you put your attention in your relationships and how much you put in is what you're going to get out. So my husband and I were married 12 years. We had 4 kids, didn't put a lot of time and attention, got divorced while I was married with our 5th, got remarried 3 years later. And now we put in so much time and effort into this relationship that it may not work out. It may not. You never know what life's going to bring. But because we put so much time and effort, our relationship is so sweet. And I find that in every relationship, what you put in is what you'll get out. So wherever you are in your relationships, the brokenness is a gift because it opens you up for healing in other areas of your life. And it shows you what you need to work on.
I love it. Sprinkling the little tidbits in there. It's great. Well, everybody go check out Randa. Appreciate you. Book comes out in September?
September, yep.
September. Go check it out. Randa, thank you for doing a hard thing. How hard was this? Was it as scary as you thought?
No, you're amazing. You're amazing.
I appreciate you coming on. Looking forward to more of your content coming up, and good luck on your new coaching show. To see me coach another entrepreneur one-on-one, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
It's not that we hate people, it's that we hate shallow conversations.
Yeah.
We want something that's deep and meaningful.
I forgot how I was going to open up my speech. Serving others is hardwired into us. It makes you feel good.
How do you find your purpose?